Welcome to another episode of WTF Cinema.
Hey everybody, welcome to a very special Christmas edition of WTF Cinema. Today, we're going to be looking at the lost children's classic, Jim Henson's The Christmas Toy. Now, a lot of you have probably never heard of it. It was a made-for-TV, hour-long movie in 1986. It features a lot of voices that you'd recognize from The Muppet Show and Fraggle Rock, and it's got a lot of behind-the-scenes people from those two productions as well. That said, it's horrible. I mean, it's just awful. I saw it a couple times as a kid, and I'm amazed it didn't scar me. When I grew up, I thought back on it, and I thought, there's no way I'm remembering that right. There's no way that story is how I recall it being when I was a child. So I tracked down this DVD, because there was no way that they would make this a Christmas movie for children. But they did. Oh, they did. We open with a song, because this is a musical movie. Songs all throughout, and I'm going to skip most of them for you. They're atrocious. The songs themselves are mindless. I mean, it's one of those where you repeat the chorus 15 times and then have a couple of unique lines. They're not good songs. And then, the voices don't lend themselves well to singing. They just don't. The main voice is Rugby the Tiger, and he's voiced by the guy who does Gonzo. I like Gonzo, but that is not a good singing voice. So, there are two songs in this that aren't absolutely horrible. They're merely bad. So, we're going to skip as much of that as we can. So, in this universe, your toys come to life when you're not around. They say it's because toys love playing so much that they just have to keep playing. Fine. Whatever. I don't care about the magic that makes the toys come to life. WTF Cinema isn't about making everything fit in the real world. In this world, toys come to life. Them's the rules. That's cool. But there's a caveat. In this universe, if a person sees a toy where it wasn't left, meaning if a toy gets up, walks around a little bit, and then, oh my god, people are coming, and like, you know, I'm a toy again, the toy dies. Now, they call it frozen forever. But we'll address later, it's dying. And they even make that clear near the end. I just want you to think about that for a second. As a kid, you're watching this movie and, oh my gosh, my toys come to life. But if I see them, they die. For weeks after watching this, I always knocked on my bedroom door to give my toys time to get back into position before I went in. I did not want to walk in and murder my toys. And I don't really understand this mechanic either. They don't fully explain it. They just say, this is what happens. If somebody sees a toy where it wasn't left, it dies. But humans don't have a hive mind. Say I'm the parent, and I come across this stuffed tiger in the middle of the hallway. Well, how do I know my kid didn't take it from where he left it and move it into the hallway when I wasn't looking? How do I know that toy is where it's not supposed to be, logically? But it doesn't matter in this movie. If anybody sees a toy in a place that it went to of its own volition, that toy dies. It doesn't make sense. What if, as the parent, I move the toy, the kid goes in and goes, that's not where I left the toy. It doesn't seem like in this universe the toy dies, but by the rules it should, because somebody thought it moved when it didn't. And by the way, a couple of toys do die in this. And every time, the mother, it's always the mother killing the toys, the mother just says, oh, how'd that get there? And that's the end of the mystery. I'm going to probably harp on the death thing a lot, because I'm sorry, but a Christmas movie about toys dying isn't really my idea of a good time. But let's go ahead and move on with the plot. As the toys talk, we learn that it's Christmas Eve, which is a very special time of year for the toys, because there's going to be new arrivals. These are our main characters, Rugby the Tiger and Mew the cat toy. all throughout this movie, all of the toys hate on Mew. Because he's a cat toy. He smells a little bit like catnip. So every time he shows up or says a line of dialogue, all the other toys, you see yell out in unison, "Ew, it's Mew!" This is most of the film. Now, I get the idea of you want the outsider who you learn has worth as a person, and you eventually become friends with them. And that's kind of what happens. This thing's about 50 minutes long, and 40 minutes of it is Rugby hating Mew because he's a cat toy. And because he smells bad, and because he's a cat toy. That's the epitaph that they throw at him. Cat toy. It's practically a hate crime, as much as all these other toys just hate Mew. But throughout the course of the movie, Mew proves himself to be useful and to be able to do a couple of things, so they become friends. So there's your moral, kids. Make fun of people who are different from you, unless they can help you in some way. Then they're okay. Merry Christmas. Balthazar, the teddy bear, climbs up on top of the dollhouse and he explains to everybody, "Christmas is coming, and that means new toys, and they're going to be confused when they get here. It's our job to welcome them and make them feel at home." Meanwhile, Rugby, being the most self-centered toy in the universe, he has it in his head that since he was the Christmas toy last year, he was Jamie, the girl's big favorite toy. Well, that's his job. Every Christmas, he is the Christmas toy. So he's on a mission. He's got to go downstairs and get under the tree so that she can find him in the morning so that he can be loved again forever. Mew is the only person who sees him leaving the room. After all the other toys abuse him for a while, Mew is finally able to explain Rugby left and is in danger of getting caught. See, it's nice that he's universally hated. Actually, Rugby is almost immediately caught because the mother decides, in the middle of the night, on Christmas Eve, that it's time to do laundry. Luckily, he's not seen because she just throws the laundry out in the hallway and it lands on him. So he's covered, which means he doesn't die. That was a close one. Now, Ditz the Clown, who only has a couple of lines of dialogue in this movie, and every one of them is made to establish that he's stupid, goes out in the hallway to try and get Rugby back.
Toy to trip over. Probably lots of...
Where he's seen and dies. That's right, kids. You just saw a toy die. Merry Christmas. Here's a toy dying in front of you.
Ditz? Sorry, the number you have dialed is no longer in service.
And if he's really this stupid, as he's established with every line of dialogue, how did he survive this long without dying? Since he's dead now, the other toys transport him to the open-air graveyard they have in a corner of the playroom, where all the dead toys lay in a pile. All of the dead toys lay in a pile in the corner of the playroom, like an open-air graveyard, so that all the live and singing and dancing and fun-having toys can see them at all times. How are these toys having fun? How is that just not a constant source of misery and fear for them? The playroom has an open-air graveyard! Mew decides to help Rugby, even though Rugby hates him. See, Mew is what we humans call a doormat. And the two of them go off on a grand adventure to get to the living room, most of which I'm going to cut because it's a lot of, oh, we almost got caught or we didn't get caught. Oh, we almost got caught or we didn't get caught.
He could be a lot nicer, but he's the closest thing to a friend I've got.
So now, female Chucky and this horse here decide to get together a small team and go save Rugby. They don't mention saving Mew, because as we've established, they hate Mew. But they're going to try and save Rugby, with the help of this robot called Bleep, and this token minority toy who's a cab driver. I'm sure I could go into racist elements here, but I'm not going to because I'm not pigmentally qualified to call racism. Still though, I'm watching you, Christmas toy. God, I'm watching you. Also, while they're singing this little song about, you know, dream the impossible and do the impossible and take out the M from impossible and then you can do it, we see the lookout toy, which is this duck in a boat, going around dancing and singing with them. That toy sits at the doorway of the playroom, even though in some shots, when people walk in, it's not there, and in others, it is, and no adult ever touches it, so I think it died too at some point, or should have. But in the middle of this song, it's dancing and singing with all the other toys. Like, if that moment a person walked in, it would be a huge massacre. All of the toys would die. All of them, just dead. And why wouldn't a human walk in? These toys are singing. You're telling me they can't hear that? Okay, to be fair, maybe people can't hear toys. So maybe they can't hear the singing. I'll let that one go for now. After entire minutes worth of adventure, Rugby and Mew reach the Christmas tree. Rugby finds the box for Jamie and tries to figure out how he's going to be the Christmas toy yet again. Now, inside of this box is Jamie's next big Christmas toy. Jamie's a girl of about 8 years old, and we know that last year she got the stuffed tiger. And the year before that, she got that female Chucky-looking doll. So, let's see what toy this 8-year-old girl is going to get this year. That's horrifying! Oh my god, that is the creepiest looking toy I've ever seen! How does that not make... That's gonna make the girl cry. I mean, she's gonna open up that box, she's gonna see that toy and that face and those eyes, and she's gonna cry! That's... How do you go from toy doll, stuffed tiger to that? In a scene that I'm sure nobody will ever rip off or repeat in movie history, this science fiction-based toy actually thinks it's a science fiction hero.
Are you saying you want to lodge a complaint with Star Command?
Oh, okay. Ooh, well, so you want to do it the hard way, huh?
Don't even think about it, cowboy.
Oh, yeah? Tough guy?
For some reason, Mew decides he's completely in love with the creepiness that is Meteora. He is utterly smitten. And while she's flying around, because she can fly, by the way, there's only one other toy that can fly, and it's a hot air balloon. But it's not real hot air, so I'm not sure how it flies physically, and I don't know how she flies. But, while this is going on, Rugby closes himself back in the box. Female Chucky here tries to explain to Rugby the natural order of things. See, every year there's a new Christmas toy. And Jamie will open the box and see this new toy, and she will promise to love that toy forever. And she will forget about you. And then the next year there'll be a new toy, and she'll love that one forever and forget about this one. It's the way the universe works, kids. Sure, sometimes people will make you feel special. But sooner or later, everybody's going to disappoint you, and you're going to be alone. Merry Christmas. She even sings a song about how it was when she was replaced, complete with a flashback of her crying. Toys in this universe have tear ducts. The only purpose of tear ducts is to cry. And she has them. Because it's not like her eyes need the moisture. She's built to suffer. The toys in this universe are just... everything about their existence is suffering. I don't know how they can even pretend to be happy. The whole point of this movie is for Rugby to learn that it's his place in the universe to be replaced. That's the main moral of this movie, is for Rugby to learn that he's not special forever, only for 1 year. Toys have tear ducts and have to learn that they are expendable, disposable. This is your Christmas movie for kids. I know I'm playing up the Merry Christmas and kids thing, but seriously, this is awful. Rugby refuses to fall for her logic, though. See, he's determined to be special. He's going to go in the box, she's going to open it, and he's going to be special for a whole nother year. I would make a comment about how over-the-top stupid and self-centered the character's being, but really, and this is probably the only nice thing I'm going to say about this, his logic is consistent with a small child. He's acting like probably a lot of the kids who watched this thing at that age would think. So, kudos for that. The logic they've written into this character makes sense in character. That's it. There's your compliment movie. I would take it and run. Finally, female Chucky points out to Rugby, excuse me, you're not supposed to be in that box. Meteora, the new toy, is. So what do you think's gonna happen when they open the box and see you there? You're gonna die. This finally convinces Rugby. Because it's true. You didn't want to open with that argument. You wanted to try reasoning and learning your place in the world, and this is the logical order of things. You didn't want to open with, if you do this, you will die. Quick note for everybody out there, especially my friends. If I'm ever doing something that you know for a fact is going to lead to my death, I'm going to ask you to open with that. I'm going to ask you to say, Jeff, if you do this, it will kill you. Afterwards, you can try logic and reasoning and helping me grow through my feelings or whatever. Open with, you will die. It'll get my attention. I promise.
What I've been trying to tell you.
Oh, bull! The horse never says anything. The horse and the robot stay at the top of the stairs this whole time, and yet here he says, I tried to tell you you were gonna die. No, you didn't. At least the cab driver had the courage to go down the stairs, although it does raise the question of how later they get the huge remote control cab back up the stairs, because there's no way its traction is that good. Meanwhile, Meteora is on a rampage, knocking over chess pieces and issuing proclamations, and Rugby realizes he's got to get her back in the box. Tragically, the sound of chess pieces being knocked off a table and falling onto carpet wakes up the dad, the mom, and the older kid that we never see. So Dad's gonna go investigate the sound of a chess piece hitting carpet. Mew to the rescue, though. He's able to duplicate the sound of a cat, which convinces the dad that it's just Ouija the cat downstairs playing. And so instead of going and checking, he just goes back to bed. So they're woken up by the sound of chess pieces hitting the ground. And go back to bed when they hear one of the toys meowing. But they never hear these toys singing at the top of their lungs, which happens again in just a few seconds. Or happens all the time in the playroom. And they didn't hear the sound of the remote control cab revving up down the hallway right in front of their bedroom door. By the way, it was noisy. I didn't include the clip, but I feel at this point in our relationship you can trust me. Cab was noisy going down the hallway. So if adults can hear toys, because they heard Mew, how have they not caught on to all of this other stuff? Now, the only task left is to get Meteora back into the box. How are we going to accomplish this, you ask? Why, with a song, of course.
I am stunning.
Stunning.
Meteor.
Oh, so stunning.
And the world must learn how wonderful you are.
Oh, you are.
Actually, this is probably the best song in the whole movie. Back up in the toy room, Balthazar, the teddy bear, tells everybody that the toys should be back soon. The living room's not that far away. At least, he didn't remember it being that far away. Not that he's been there in a while, because nobody plays with him. Kids, you know how you have those toys that you haven't played with in a little while? Well, now they're brokenhearted. And I hope you're happy being a monster for not loving all your toys all the time equally. You're a horrible person for neglecting one of your toys. This thing is heartbreaking. So, mission accomplished. Everybody's back in the toy room. Meteora's in the box, except for Mew. Mew was bringing up the rear, and for some unknown reason, the bedroom door starts to open. Rugby decides he's going to go save his friends. See, they've been friends for about 2 minutes now. So Rugby is going to rush out of the playroom and rescue his friend before he dies. All the other toys say, "You're crazy! You can't risk your life for a cat toy!" Way to keep the hate alive. He just saved all of your lives down in the living room when he meowed. And you're like, no, let him die, man. Just a cat toy. Let it die. At the last second, Rugby freaks out and hides in the closet instead. Mew is discovered and dies. Earlier, when the clown died, we'd only known the character for like 5 seconds. We've been with this character the entire movie. He's the most likable character in the movie, mainly because he's the most hated by everybody, so you feel sorry for the guy. And we just watched him die. Also, I kind of feel like Mew should be immune to this whole death thing. Not that it makes a lot of sense with the other toys, but it really doesn't make sense with a cat toy. You don't expect a cat to put its toy up in the toy room every time. You don't expect an animal to put its toy wherever it goes. So you should expect to see the toy in weird places. You know what? 1 second. Come here. Come here. This is Daisy. She has toys all over this apartment. I never know where they're going to end up, because she plays with them and she sets them down. Now, I've tried to train her to put all her toys in one area. It doesn't work, because she's a dog. It's how animals work. Say hi to the people, Daisy. Okay, we're getting close to the end. The mom gives the toy to the cat. The cat carries the toy downstairs. Rugby decides to go downstairs to sing a song to his dead friend. And for me, this moment really encapsulates what this movie is about. Because I want you to try and picture, if you can, being a child, watching a Christmas movie by Jim Henson, with toys coming to life and having adventures. And in it is a scene where the toy tiger that you've come to love sings a song to his dead friend about how much he misses him. That's what I want you to picture when you think of Christmas. Luckily, the writers finally remembered, oh wait, this is a Christmas special for kids. So the singing brings Mew back to life. Now, this whole review I've been saying die, 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 and here I'm saying back to life, even though the toys specifically say frozen forever. But here's the thing. When Mew comes back to life, Rugby actually yells, "You're alive!" And Mew says, "Of course I am. Am I not supposed to be?" So the toy died. I mean, it is death. It's not frozen forever. It's death. Because if you're back alive, then you had to be dead. Even worse, and what I think is really the worst moment of this entire train wreck, Mew describes for us what it was like when he was dead. Here.
I was someplace else, but it was like no place. And it was very dark and cold.
Oh my God. Seriously? When your toy dies, it goes somewhere dark and cold and lonely forever? I don't even know what to say about this. I mean, this is horrible. Watch it again.
I was someplace else, but it was like no place. And it was very dark and cold.
This is one of the most depressing things I've ever heard. Toys die. They go to some kind of toy purgatory where they float alone in cold darkness forever. They couldn't have invented toy heaven. It couldn't have been fun. A friend of mine even suggested what I thought was a great idea. Have Mew describe heaven, and as he describes it, you realize he's describing Santa's workshop. My friend's wife even said, you know, and the other toys could be there. He could be like, oh, and I saw Ditz and all the other dead toys. At least give them something positive. I mean, you could have fun with that. It could be deep. And what's bad is I know the writers didn't write it this way on purpose. They weren't writing it to be depressing. They just were throwing it away. Like, yeah, no, he was definitely dead. We want to make that clear. So he floated alone in empty nothingness. I don't think they were pushing some kind of atheist toy agenda. I don't. I just think they didn't put thought into it. And as a result of that, what we got out was this. With a little bit of effort, you could have had Santa's Workshop be heaven. Now, then you would have to deal with the story of a character being ripped out of warmth, happiness, and joy in heaven to be back here on Earth. But that can be done.
There was no pain, no fear, no doubt, till they pulled me out of heaven.
Back up in the toy room, all the toys sing to their dead friends to bring them back to life. Rugby and Mew are still downstairs. So, how did they know that singing would bring the toys back to life? How did they know what song to sing? Because they're singing the same song Rugby was singing. As much as these toys sing, how have they never tried this before? The scene just has so many questions. I get it, it's the happy ending, but it doesn't make sense. The next morning, Jamie and her brother are told to put up all their new toys. So Jamie and her brother, whose name I can't remember, go in. Jamie puts down her one toy. Her brother puts down his 2 toys. All those presents under the tree. And earlier, the kids even look at the tree and be like, I've never seen so many presents. And she gets 1 toy, he gets 2 toys. Also, birthdays are never mentioned in this universe. At all. You know, we make a big deal of, the new arrivals are coming in today because it's Christmas. Yeah, Balthazar is now an old Jimmy Stewart. Deal with it. But we never come up with, it's like on her birthday when she gets a new toy. Because that would ruin the whole cycle of, she loves 1 toy for a whole year and then forgets about it. I guess. So these kids get 1 or 2 toys a year. How did they fill up that playroom? How are there that many toys at that rate? Also, the entire point of this movie centers around Jamie's toys. And, you know, the struggle they deal with being replaced every year. No mention is made of the brothers' toys having to go through the same issue. Brothers' toys all seem cool. I mean, we don't know which one are his toys, but none of them seem to have any problems. We also see the cat come and put down his new toy in the playroom. It's a female version of Mew. And the 2 of them hit it off immediately. So I guess we can forget about that whole Mew in love with Meteor subplot that was important that we focus on. Because now Mew has Mewtwo. Yes, that's its name. 2 things about this. First, the cat is really trained to put its toy in the playroom. I mean, really? Most cats don't come when you call them. And secondly, if you're buying your pet a duplicate of a toy it already has, it's to replace the toy it already has. See, the scene they're missing here is 5 minutes later when Mom comes in and throws Mew in the garbage. Anyway, we're almost done. Let's just finish. Jamie explains to Meteor that she will love her forever, just like she loves all her toys. Well, that can't be true, because then the female Chucky wouldn't have had that huge rejection thing that she had to help Rugby through. If you loved all your toys equally, they wouldn't have the self-esteem issues that you've given them. But that's the end. That's the Christmas toy. Merry Christmas, right? I'm supposed to wrap up here. And I don't know what to do. I can't get over the toys dying thing. Because that's what you want to present kids with on Christmas. Not just the idea that they die, which is the mechanic to explain why you never see your toys playing. The idea is that if they don't want to get caught, right? So you have to have some kind of mechanic. And you can't do like Toy Story where it was just taboo and you didn't talk about it, because that wouldn't scar children. Toys die. Your toys die. If you stumble across them having fun, they die. And then they're held in the corner of your playroom in an open-air graveyard. And when they die, they go to a dark, cold place where they are alone forever. And if that's what happens to your toys, maybe it's what happens to you. Hope you enjoyed this Christmas special, kids. I do want to point out that when it originally aired, Kermit the Frog introduces the movie and then joins in the song at the end, but if you get the DVD or VHS copy, he's not in there, so there's no Kermit in this one. Another friend of mine and I spent quite a while analyzing this. And we finally came up with something that answers all the questions. Because it's, you know, it's a big, rich house, and there's all those toys. And Jamie's the center of the universe. So here's the theory that we've got. It's the only way the story makes sense. And now I'm not saying this is the case, because what I'm about to tell you is clearly absurd. What I want to do is show you how absurd this movie is, that it takes an explanation like this to make sense of it. Jamie is clearly some sort of witch. I'm talking like Twilight Zone, wish them into the cornfield, magic powers, witch. And she has decided she wants to be a kid forever. Now, she's ensorcelled these parents, or perhaps constructed them from her imagination. I don't know. The home itself is a foster home. So new kids come in and they're taken care of. And I think what happens is Jamie takes these kids and puts their souls into the toys. And she's put in this universe where if the toys are caught where they aren't supposed to be, they die, so the toys can't rise up against her. Jamie's a witch who puts people's souls into the toys so that the toys will love her forever. That's why she's the center of this universe. I kind of want to write the sequel to this now, where the toys do finally rise up and kill the witch. Oh, I'd make it a Christmas special, too. It would be just as Christmassy as this one. I know it's after Christmas, so I want to wish you all a Happy New Year. And I want to thank all of you for watching this. I want to thank all of you for supporting WTF Cinema. It means a lot to me. I enjoy making these, but I make these because when I see something like this, I have to feel like I got back at it somehow. I couldn't just bottle this up anymore. I had to express it. And so I started putting these online. And the fact that any of you watch them means the world to me. On a closing thought, I would like to finish by reading you the last sentence from the back of the case here for the Christmas toy. What we've just seen, everything I've described to you, death, open-air graveyards, experience the magic of Christmas in this classic Jim Henson adventure filled with fun, music, and laughter. I don't have a punchline.
Thank you for watching WTF Cinema. Until next time, what the f***, man?